Hello and welcome back to another episode. Now today I wasn't planning on filming anything at all. I really wasn't. Not least because of my face. My face has flared up like a rose garden. It looks like someone slapped me, like I've got a birthmark or something. But it's just this ongoing allergy that I seemingly developed around Christmas. It comes, it goes, and we're trying to tie down the cause of it. But despite my face, I simply had to comment today on the closure of 21 Grainger Games stores here in the UK. Today, quite literally, people turned up for their shifts at Grainger Games at 21 stores and were told to go home. In an email obtained by Eurogamer, these stores were told, "We regret to inform you that we require you to close your store immediately due to the ongoing issues surrounding the business's critical financial situation." The email went on to say that the business is still in discussions with potential bidders, but unfortunately, even though we have tried to avoid this situation, your store could not be included as part of any future bids. Therefore, we have been left with no other choice than to cease trading as of from today. Today, the 28th of March 2018. And this is genuinely a bit of a shock, but also it's kind of not. It seemingly comes in the context of a really difficult time for brick and mortar retail, especially electronics and toys outlets. Grainger Games CEO Stephen Bower said in an interview with Chronicle Live that confidence in the UK high street retail sector has been at an all-time low. This has been further impacted by recent retail failures. Presumably he's referring to the failure of the giant Toys R Us, and also actually stores like Maplin Electronics, a store which I used to visit all the time actually, because it was great. It was like a prosumer level kind of store where you could get sort of some professional equipment for audio, for example. I often used it for my work as a filmmaker / archaeologist. But also as well, you could get hold of like a Tetris lamp or PC peripherals or wiring or toys even, or drones. And sort of, RC toys, this kind of thing. Maplin was fantastic, but they also had to close recently. Boa went on to say that on the back of this, we have very recently been notified that Grainger Games has had or will have certain supplier credit limits cut or removed. This has come as a shock to us all and presents a significant operating challenge driven by factors outside our control. The stores affected include, we have Worksop, Northwich in Cheshire, actually a town that I quite often drive through when I'm visiting North Wales. Sale, Breaston, Salford in Manchester, where my brother-in-law lives actually. Altrincham, Widnes, again in Cheshire I think. Stretford, Whitley Bay, which actually is just up the road. It's on the coast from where I live. It's only a couple of miles away. Wakefield, again a place I sometimes drive through. Castleford or Castleford, Selby, Dewsbury, Hyde, Oldham, Thornaby, Huddersfield or Uddersfield, Durham, which is where I used to live. Frankly, the Durham store used to be my computer game store. It used to be the store I went to, especially when I worked in the building. I worked above that store in Durham, in a call centre. A terrible couple of years of my life, but nonetheless, I used to work and above and patronise that store quite often. Washington, just south of the river from where I live, and often, again, I stopped off at the Washington store when I was travelling. Billingham and Chesterfield. It's a shame. And this morning, actually, there was, I suppose, a bit of a hint of this. I did actually visit the Grainger Games website. I was shopping around for Doom on the Switch, and noticed that their website was down. Now, this wasn't unusual in recent months. Grainger Games did update their website to have this sort of cutesy gaming theme, whereby if you had a page failure in particular, for example a 404, it said game over and you restarted the game by going to the home page. Well, the Grainger Games website was down, and I didn't think of anything of it, but seemingly this is in the context of this announcement today. Presumably they are restructuring the website to reflect their reduced number of retail outlets. Now, I'm commenting on this partly because I'm surprised by it. I think this is a real shame, and there are stores which I still go to and will go to for as long as I can that are presumably in imminent danger. For example, there's the Benton branch not too far from where I live. There's the branch in Byker that I sometimes stop in at. There's the branch in North Shields that I often go to as well. I'm concerned about this stuff, but also I'm concerned about, from a consumer perspective or a customer perspective, I'm concerned that I might not be able to go to the store. But also I'm concerned about the people who are losing their jobs, and also what this means for, I guess, the culture of the sector, if you see what I mean. I've always had a nostalgia and a love of the ability to go into a store and buy a computer game. I've always treasured that. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to work at Blockbuster when I did back in sixth form, was because I liked that face-to-face element. I liked that often the staff have the same passions as you as a customer, and I liked the atmosphere, the banter, and the thing is, though, recently that has been suffering. Grainger Games stores have felt a bit more clinical, a bit more sales orientated. The staff have felt a bit more under pressure and maybe a little bit less informed. I mean, I know recently I made a video where I talked about a gripe I had with Grainger Games, where I was a bit annoyed that I was basically told you are wrong when I went in with a very specific request. I couldn't have just been making this up. But there was the banter was slipping, I suppose is what I'm saying. But also Grainger Games have desperately been trying to diversify, offering comics and graphic novels, pop figurines, a whole wall given over, for example, in the Benton store to pop figurines. A couple of years ago, they got into the retro games market in a big way, and then seemingly got out as quickly as they could. The website was really pushing it, the stores were really pushing it, great big retro section, but seemingly they quickly learned that they couldn't buy games at the rate they wanted in order to sell them at the rate that they wanted in order to make a decent profit. It simply wasn't profitable for a brick and mortar store with a chain, presumably, to be selling retro games in that way. And so, from my experience, from my perspective, it's been a diluted experience going into stores like that. And so you could feel the struggle, you could feel the tension, you could feel that they were desperately trying to find a way forward. So, in all honesty, I find myself wondering to what extent, as it were, we are to blame for this as customers. Should we be more conscientious about where we buy games from? For example, not just going to Amazon or to eBay or whatever and getting the cheapest possible game, and rather investing in that sort of brick and mortar kind of store. Or is this simply the shape of things to come? Are big electronics and games retail chains unsustainable? Because actually there are lots of smaller game stores that I go to. One in particular in Grainger Market, not related to Grainger Games, in Newcastle, that doesn't seem to be struggling per se. Yes, okay, sometimes the guy has ups and downs in terms of sales, but often that's linked with how many students are in town, frankly. But there's enough buoyancy in the games, especially the retro games market, for him to keep on chugging along. But he doesn't own a chain. He is a store on his own, and frankly, he's fairly specialist. People come to him to sell their games and also to buy them, and also for that X factor, for that sort of cultural banter element. And so, in all honesty, is there something that we should feel bad about? I certainly feel bad about those people who've no longer got a job. I genuinely do, especially as someone who's worked in that sector. Like I say, I used to work in Blockbuster. Or is this something that we should be embracing? I'm not quite sure what I mean by that, but I suppose what I'm saying is this just the shape of things to come, with more e-store offers, more people accepting digital downloads as simply the way that you own games, and also the way that you save your saves, for example, to the cloud? Is this just what will happen? And so we need to get used to it. I, for one, will very much continue to try and support my local brick and mortar stores. For example, today I did make a purchase. I bought Doom for the Switch. I'm not going to be buying lots of new Switch games, but that one I really wanted to try out, and I bought it from a brick and mortar store for that very reason, because I want to keep on supporting, but also having the benefit of those stores. It's convenient, actually. You're not having to wait on shipping, if nothing else. Even if you don't treasure the shop, it's convenient. So I'll continue to support those stores, and I will really, really miss them if they all do close down. Or is this simply an adjustment? Do you think this is just going to be a bump, and the games industry, the games retail sector, as it were, will simply reform itself, and out will come a more streamlined, more efficient, frankly more relevant version of what has been offered in recent years? One thing that doesn't look good, though, is that Grainger Games will no longer be offering pre-orders. So whatever the near future holds, even though it seems the business will survive in some respects, possibly even only as a website, who knows what the future holds, yeah, they're no longer offering pre-orders across the board. This is, as Gamer Revolution says, causing further damage to an already sinking ship. Considering Grainger Games originated in Newcastle's Grainger Market, there you go, 21 years ago, it is no doubt saddening to those who have been going to the store for all that time. And it is. Obviously, I haven't been going there for 21 years, but I've certainly been going to Grainger Games for as long as I've been living near one. And yeah, it's a sad day. But unless my thoughts, my best wishes, and my love, such as it is, definitely goes out to those people who have lost their jobs today. And here's hoping that this isn't the sign of a catastrophic collapse in a sector that I love, and frankly, if you're watching this video, that you probably love as well. Anyway, guys, as ever, until next time, do take care, and I will try and take care of my face. Yes. Bye bye.